Hello and welcome. Today, we're discussing a topic that no one talks about openly, but everyone is curious about. The effects of watching porn on sexuality. Some watch, some don't, but no one is unaffected. But does porn really affect our sex lives? That's today's topic. That's the content of today's video. Let's get started. First, it's important to know this. When we watch porn, dopamine is released in our brains. Dopamine is the hormone of reward and pleasure. As dopamine is released, the brain actually enjoys it, but after a while, it desensitizes itself to it and begins to crave more stimulants to achieve the same pleasure, the same excitement. Now, when we incorporate pornography into our sexuality, the dopamine from pornography heightens our perception, elevates our dopamine levels, and something happens here. The pleasure derived from intercourse, that is, from sexual intercourse. This dopamine is gradually replacing the pleasure experienced, but the dopamine derived from pornography is gradually replacing it. A study conducted at the University of California, USA, has striking results. There's an inverse relationship between how much people watch porn and how much they enjoy sexual intercourse. In other words, as porn viewing increases, the pleasure they derive from natural sexual intercourse begins to decrease. In other words, more porn means less libido in the normal course of life. Of course, there's something to consider here. It's a fact that pornography is used, especially during sex therapy, to ignite sexual feelings in couples' otherwise monotonous lives. Actually, I use this in my sex therapy sessions here in this office. Although, I recommend using erotic elements and materials rather than porn. Anyway, I can't close the parentheses just yet. So, where's the problem? The problem lies here. If pornography or eroticism is used appropriately within a couple's sex life, there's no problem. So, when does the problem begin? The problem begins there. If the pleasure you derive from pornography begins to surpass the pleasure you derive from intercourse in your normal sexual life, stop right there. The problem has begun. Porn portrays exaggerated things that don't exist in real life. Exaggerated fantasies. Exaggerated positions, shapes, and elements that are perhaps nearly impossible in real life. Sometimes, it creates feelings in the viewing partner. Am I inadequate? Am I lacking? Am I like this? Am I green? Am I blue? When we look at all of these things in general, they push people away from a normal sexual life and toward a sexuality that may never exist in real life. Because the person's perception of sexuality is now dominated by elements of that unrealistic side, they begin to lose the enjoyment of their normal sexual life. The result is dissatisfaction, unhappiness, and communication problems between partners. So, should we not watch it at all? You can, but the key here is to watch it in moderation and occasionally. So, test yourself this way. If you can't get aroused without porn, you'll experience sexual excitement, pleasure, and euphoria. If you can't feel it, you can use porn as a stimulant. If you're not experiencing the same pleasure naturally, you need to stop, because something is missing there. Porn is becoming more prevalent in your life than it should be. This is a critical checkpoint. Remember, sexuality is a connection, a sharing. It's not a screen you watch. It's not something you see on a screen. There's a significant difference between the two. In other words, porn or erotic material can be a spice in the meal, in your life, but it can never be the meal itself. Please never forget this. If you're confused about these or similar topics, or if you'd like to improve your sexuality, please subscribe to this channel. Watch the content on this channel, try to understand it, and grasp it. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section. See you in the next video.